In this video today, I'm going to show you the most asked questions that Hannaford ask in their interviews, and I'm going to help you plan really great answers that will get you a job working at their supermarkets. So let's start with a question they're going to be extremely interested in the answer to, and if you don't prepare a good answer and hit the things that they want to hear, your chances of getting the job go down a lot. So they're going to ask you, what is your availability for shifts at Hannaford? They're going to be very interested in knowing what times you can actually work. And a lot of people do very badly on this question, but I want to show you a way to score very highly on this. So let's look at the key aspects of what you need to include in your answer. So the first thing you want to do is you want to try and say yes to as much as possible. The more you can say yes and the more you can offer wide range of availability, the better you're going to do on this question. The next thing you want to try and do is be as open-minded as possible. Try and be really, really open to all the different ranges of times that they could offer shifts. The next thing you want to do is show flexibility. So I'm going to show you some phrases in a second that you can use to answer this question that show the flexibility that's going to be helpful to them. And fundamentally, you want to demonstrate some commitment to your job. The way that people completely mess up this question is they immediately start by listing all the times that they can't work. So they start saying, I can't do this day, and this day. However, I can do these other times. And that's a very negative way to set up the interview. Don't focus on the times that you can't do. Focus on the times that you can do and show as much flexibility as you can. To get the best answer, there's several phrases that you can use that go down very well. So you can say things like, I'm happy to work to meet business needs. I'm happy to work store opening hours. So you're happy to basically work all the range of times that the store is open. Say also that you're open to overtime. If you are, you're probably not going to be offered overtime. But if you were, you're going to be open to that. And that means you'll earn more money. Then you can also say that you're happy to help out when needed. That is a great phrase to use to show that you're going to be useful to the business and you're going to be there to work and help staff the store when needed. So that's how you answer this question and get through it with a good score. The next one you want to be prepared for is, what can you tell me about Hannaford? Unsurprisingly, if you go to your Hannaford interview not knowing anything about the company, that doesn't look good. They want to see people that are really well prepared and have done great research on the company. Should always be prepared for these sort of questions in an interview. So if you are asked what you know about the company, the way that you answer it is to follow this diagram. So start with just the really obvious facts, the things that everybody knows. Then show off some research, and then to be really impressive and score highly and get them obviously impressed with your knowledge is just drop in a couple of facts that only people that have taken the time to do some proper research would actually know. The good news for you is I've done all this for you, and so I'm going to run through the key facts about the company, and you can just use these in your interview, and it will show that you've done some good research and that you're aware of the key parts of the company. So the first thing you want to say is that Hannaford is a supermarket chain, because that's exactly what it is. The next thing you want to say is where they focus. They're focused in New England, and they've expanded a little bit into New York. They don't go across the entire country. They're looking to be very strong and dominant in small areas of the country where they can build a big distribution and logistics network. They obviously want to offer low prices to their customers. They do compete on price. They have rewards programs and coupons available. So the current one is Hannaford's Rewards, and that gives 2% back. Though that rewards program may change in future, so double check what the current rewards program is and just know a little bit about it, and you may be able to talk about that in your interview. They offer a pharmacy in most stores, and if you look on the website of the store you're applying to, you'll see what services are actually on offer, and it's a good idea to be aware of those. The next thing to know is a tiny bit about the history. So the company was founded by Arthur Hannaford, quite easy to remember. And then you may have heard the company referred to as Hannaford Brothers. And the brothers comes from the fact that later on, his brothers joined him in the business. And the company was founded in 1883. That's a nice, easy number to remember. So this company's got a very, very long history. That's quite early compared to a lot of other supermarkets. It's based in Maine. That's where their headquarters are. And Hannaford really is very, very strong in that area. They do quite dominate the Maine supermarkets market. They are now part of a much larger company called Ahold Delhaize, which is a absolutely massive collection of lots and lots of different supermarket brands in Europe and the United States. And so you can mention that as some other good knowledge to have. They're quite proud of the fact that they donate quite a lot of food to charity for the alleviation of hunger. They also have the Hannaford Scholarship Program that supports employees and the children of employees in accessing higher education, going to university, going to college. And so that's something you can also mention. It's a good idea to have some awareness of their store brand. So what are the brands that you can only buy in Hannaford that you can't get elsewhere? My other top tip is to read the Hannaford's Our Story. So if you go on the website, you can get a whole story about where the company came from, where they're going, and what happened in their history. And you can check out the press pages to know the up-to-date news about the company. So feel free to screenshot this page or take any notes that you want so that you've got all the facts ready to go for your interview, and drop as many of these as you can throughout the interview to show that you've done great preparation. So let's look at the next question, which is how would you deal with an angry or upset customer when you're working at Hannaford? Now, this isn't the easiest question to answer when you're just making up an answer on the spot. People often say things like they'd kick them out, or that they wouldn't put up with that, or they would just say lots of really silly answers, and it doesn't help. So let's look at how you actually answer this question and what they want you to hear. So the first thing you say is you always stay calm and you don't argue back. The worst thing you can do with an angry customer is go up and shout at them, because that just makes everything 10 times worse. And that's not what they want you to say in the interview. The next thing you say is that you use active listening. So you've got an angry or upset customer. Quite often it's because something's went wrong, they're annoyed about something, and if you show that you're listening, it's very, very calming. They want someone to be listening to them and taking them seriously, and quite often when you show that you're listening and you're calm and professional, it just calms the situation down very quickly. It's surprising how effective that is. The next thing you say is that you'll use de-escalation. So you've got an angry or upset customer, you want to bring the situation under control, calm everything down, and use the word de-escalation, and that shows you've got the right approach. The next thing you mention is that you'd follow the company's policies. So if a customer is angry and demanding a refund for something, but they're not actually entitled to a refund, or they're making a completely unreasonable request, well, you're not going to just give them what they want. You have to follow the company's policies, and you do it with compassion and empathy and professionally. The next thing you say is that the fundamental thing that you want to do is fix what went wrong, and your aim is to provide great service. You want the customer to go from being angry and annoyed at something to satisfied with, yeah, it went wrong, but they were amazing and they put it right straight away and it solved my problem and I'm very happy with that. That's the approach that you want to take. So just basically mention each thing on this list and you will have a high scoring answer. So let's move on and look at another one, which is one that you really want to be prepared for, because a lot of people just go straight into it and just miss this great opportunity to explain why you are such a great hire and all the skills and experience you have, which explain why they should take you on. So firstly, think about your experience, then think about your personal qualities, what you're good at and what is special about you that is going to match up with being good at this job. And then you want to use this as an opportunity at the end of the answer to just explain why you're interested in this role. So firstly, think about every relevant job you've had. And that doesn't just mean jobs in supermarkets. If you have, for example, worked in a restaurant, that is very relevant to this job. You've dealt with customer complaints, you've worked with the public, you've provided service to customers. So that is great experience. Anything where you have been in a job where you're doing anything relevant to working in a supermarket, any of the jobs you could possibly do, that's great experience, and talk about it. Point out very clearly all of the customer service experience you've had, because that's one of the most important things for them. Then if you have any qualifications, make sure you make a point of stating them. Many people applying for these jobs may have limited or no qualifications. So if you have some, that's a real positive for you. The next thing to think about is your qualities. So say that you're highly professional. That's a good thing to reassure them. Say that you're reliable, that you'll always be there on time, and you've got a good track record of reliability if that's the case. And if you work well in a team, say that you work well in a team, and be prepared to talk more about times where you've worked in teams and how you've been successful. The next thing that a lot of people forget to do is use this as a time where you can link your personality and you personally to the interest in actually doing this job. So you talk about that you're passionate about providing good service, and Hannaford is somewhere where you've experienced good service and you want to be part of that. You can talk about how you want to gain new skills and grow with the company. If you're interested in working your way up the company, learning and moving into management in the future, then you could talk about that at this point. And if you have previous experience working in any sort of shop or grocery store, talk about how you enjoy this. If you don't enjoy it, then maybe look for a job elsewhere. But if you do enjoy it, now is a good time to mention that. So this is how you prepare for this question. So talk about your experiences, talk about those 3 qualities that they're really interested in, and explain why you're interested in the job, and you'll have a really great answer to this. So let's move on and look at question 5, which is, can you tell me more about your previous work experience? So they may ask more about your work experience, and they'll dig right into your particular experience. And you have to think about why they're asking this question and what they want to hear. So fundamentally, what they are looking for is someone that can match the skills that they want, and that you can't find any negatives in their job history. And if that is the case, then you're a great hire. So people obviously mess up this question all the time. They just say what their jobs are and then move on. That's not how you answer this. I'm going to show you how you actually do it. So first, state your full job title. So don't just say a simple job title, give the entire job title, just a bit more descriptive. Then explain what you actually did and what you're responsible for. So for example, if you work in a restaurant, you don't just say, I worked as a waiter and then just, or a waitress, and then just move on. What you say is that while working as a waitress or a waiter, you're responsible for customer service, delivering the food to the customers. You dealt with customer complaints. You worked with the different parts of the business. If you did anything extra above and beyond, for example, if one day you were taking on a little bit of management responsibility, or that you were involved in someone new joining, you trained them up. All these are great experiences. Talk about those. Be prepared to explain exits. So why did you go from one job to the next job? They may ask, why did you leave that job? And you want to be ready with a good answer. And never say anything negative about a previous employer. Always say the positives of the new job that you're moving to. And then always link back to Hannaford. Like, why is this experience going to make you better at the job? So always link back to what you learned in those jobs and how you're going to bring it to this new job. And fundamentally, your tips for success is linked to what they want to hear. They want people that are going to deliver good customer service and are going to be there on time and do the job properly. And if you can do that, then they're hearing what they want to hear. They're going to tick lots of boxes and you're more likely to get hired. So before we finish, as a bonus, here are some great questions that you could ask at the end of your interview to, one, have questions, because some people say, I don't have any questions, and that's terrible. And two, to help boost your score at the end of the interview, maybe just get you over the line to be hired. So the first thing you want to ask about is the next steps in the hiring process. So show that you're keen and you're interested to know what happens and you really want this job by asking what happens next. Then you could ask about the team that you're working with, show some interest in your colleagues and wanting to know about the team and be really quite enthusiastic and really interested in their answer. You might also ask them what you can do now, what things that they might want you to prepare, what you could learn before you start. So if you're successful, you're ready to go. You could also ask how would you characterize an outstanding and highly effective Hannaford employee. And that would basically let them engage in a conversation about what they're looking for, and you can match your skills to what they're interested in. And then you could also invent one during the interview. So at the end of the interview, just if you think about anything they've said and you're wondering about something, just ask it at the end. And it shows that you're listening and you're engaging in a two-way conversation with them. So if this video was helpful to you, please like and subscribe and post in the comments what questions you were asked in your interview to share with everybody else and get a wider view of all the questions that have come up. And finally, thank you very much for watching.